Welcome to a new episode of Remote Art Talks.
Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Hugo Laliberté, who is the founder of Ottomata Studio, a studio based in Montreal. And they're doing really interesting stuff with lights and design and this intersection of new media and creating immersive installations. And it's really crazy cool what you're doing. So why don't you tell us more about your work? And thank you for joining. Hi.
Well, thanks for having us. So yeah, I'm Hugo Laliberté. And one word which is very important to us is interaction. So yes, we work with light, with sound, with all kinds of design, but the idea is to create interesting and curious interaction for the public. And so yeah, basically Ottomata Studio, it's an experiential design studio that create interactive installation, immersive journeys, but without helmet. And now why I say without helmet, because every time I say the word like immersion, people, they start to think, oh, so you do virtual reality. And so we did do a little bit of virtual reality. And yes, it's something like very immersive, but it's also something that we think at the moment is something that you can mostly live alone or in solo. And most of our work takes place in the public space and where there are a lot of people gathering together. And so we work a lot more with like you mentioned, lights, projection mapping, and also an important part of our work, interactive detectors or motion detectors, so that people can have an interaction with the piece that they are looking at or the journey that they are currently traveling through. And we always try to evoke, you know, the kid inside yourself that when you were young and imagining all these kind of crazy stories, we try to create these objects or these scenarios where you can become a little bit more like the kid in yourself, or get back in the present moment and forget about like daily chores and stuff like that. So this is where we work a lot.
So how long does it take you to come up with an idea and then be like from the idea to the actual execution of that idea? Because you come up with the design and then you have to code and then you have to have the technical resources, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. It's hard to tell when the idea comes, but it's always an inspiration of like what's currently happening in our lives, or what's currently what kind of subject is we really want to try. So we're kind of geeks in the studio. And for instance, we maybe 3 years ago, we started to look at a lot of laser art, and we're like, okay, we got to buy a laser and try to do stuff with it. So we just bought a laser and started creating light patterns and stuff like that. And through our like other chances and opportunities, we created new installations. So it's kind of always what's the current exciting technology. But one thing that's important also is it's never technology just for the gadget side of it, but what can we create that's gonna evoke curiosity, or what can touch people, and not just like this is the new camera with the infrared sensors. It's not the purpose of that we try to look at and search. So yeah, it's hard to tell when the idea happens and how the design process happens, but it's mostly an inspiration of what's currently going on in our spirits and our lives. Yeah.
And I think new media and immersive experiences are having a moment. I see lots of cool things happening in Montreal all the time, and you have the venues, you have the places, you have the talent, but then there's also this, you know, like this is happening everywhere. So I think that you've also been able to travel and take your productions to other places. So where have you been able to show your work?
Yeah, so well, that's quite curious, because as you mentioned, in Montreal, there's kind of a small community around, well, small and big at the same time, but around like very immersive studios and interactive stuff. But like most of our work has been outside Quebec, and like even outside Canada. I don't know, maybe because there are more opportunities, and they like maybe the vision that we have here. I don't want to brag. It's just that maybe it's something that's different here because of the resources and how we do stuff. But yeah, we had the chance to travel. Like last year, we had the chance to present one project. It's called the Light Orchestra. You can you have some pictures, but basically the idea of Light Orchestra is how can you become a light orchestra conductor? So we created this small stage surrounded by like 15 spotlights. And when there's nobody around, you can hear like an orchestra tuning itself. But as soon as you walk and you step on the small stage, the orchestra stops. And then when you start moving your hand, like the conductor, the spots start following you, and then you can create your own melody, and it can become quite dramatic. So yeah, this piece, actually, we had the chance to display it in Paris for La Fête de la Musique, which is like the big music party in June last year. We also had the chance to present it in Arizona and in the United States, as well as in Manchester in this last December. So this is one example. And because there's a lot of light festivals around, and this is a lot of our work fits into this festival, but also, like I said, I think we have a very important part of this project is that the public has the chance to interact with it. And in the case of Light Orchestra, it's mostly entertainment, but sometimes it's more profound, and there's more reflection inside some of our other projects. But like we don't have one set of rules that we stop ourselves into and we say this is only what we do. We try to stay open to different publics and different ideas, because like I mentioned, the important thing is that the moment that the people are gonna live, they can share it with their friends, with their family, and they can maybe remember it for hopefully all their life. Because this is what we try to craft, is these memories and inside of our installations. So it's a big challenge always, but sometimes we hit some success, and sometimes it's less successful. But there's always something interesting coming out of most of our work, at least for us. Mm-hmm. Depends. Yeah.
Okay. So that sounds very interesting. So if someone is interested in learning how to create these immersive experiences, how can they do it? How can they start?
So I'd say, of course, there's a lot of maybe technical requirements, but maybe the idea is to stay curious and stay learning. So this is mostly for me as one of the studio founder, but I try to keep up with new technologies. I'm a programmer also. I didn't say, but I've been programming for like 15 years. But it's always been like this endeavor to create stuff that people other than me can see and enjoy. And so this is why it evolved into something more physical that people can see in the physical realm. But yeah, if you want to get started, well, I'd say the first step would be to learn about new technologies, and then not just in front of your screen. Of course, we spend a lot of our time in front of our screen coding stuff, but we try to step out of the screen and step inside of the real world. So learn maybe a little bit about electronics. And nowadays, it's more about being learning by yourself. You don't necessarily need like I'd say a college degree or some. Of course, it can help you, but a lot of resources exist online about learning by yourself. And we also have this idea about the hacker space or the maker space. So we always challenge ourselves at the studio. Okay, what idea can you come up with? And you have, but 2 weeks later, we have this new idea that emerged from one small challenge that we gave someone. And so we're always tinkering with new projects or new internal small projects that might become bigger projects in the end. So this is kind of the spirit we try to keep at the studio. Mm-hmm. So the hacker mentality a little bit, not dangerous computer stuff, but
okay. So how are you keeping inspired?
Yeah, so this is well, it's a great question, but at the moment we've only been like in quarantine for a week, so it's not that bad. But of course, for a studio like us that take place in, that act in the real space with real people, with like hundreds of people, it's kind of strange to see how we're gonna work in the upcoming weeks with this kind of mentality. But we always have these like mood board that we keep updating like mostly every day. Whenever we find something inspiring online, we have it in our mood boards. And this is always something that we've been doing for like the past years. So it's continuing, so it can help us create some views about what's happening outside. But hopefully we don't run of new stuff in the upcoming weeks, because right now everybody's working at home. But still, we stay in touch with each other at the studio. We have like a lot more meetings actually than before, because we try to talk with each other at least maybe every 2 hours. So this is kind of strange. But maybe taking things easier a little bit with the people at the studio. So we took last Friday off together. We played a video game together, but this is not necessarily inspiring, but at least it brings us some warmth. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure, a connection.
It's something that we don't necessarily usually do at the studio. At the studio, we're so used to be at 100% speed and work every day. So, and now we try maybe to take a step back. We're gonna see how it goes in the upcoming weeks, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And just to wrap it up, we have some rapid fire questions for you. Yeah. So we're gonna ask you some questions, and the first thing that comes to your mind, you give us, your first answer. So, what's your go-to snack these days?
My go-to snack, carrots and hummus. What's in my fridge, basically. I don't have a lot of candies and chips for the moment.
Week one, okay.
Yeah.
So books versus Netflix.
Books.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
If you're looking to impress someone, what would you cook?
Oh, what would I cook? I cook a lot of chicken, so I don't know, maybe like a Thai saute or something like that.
Okay. And what's your favorite color?
My favorite color? This one? What's it called? It's kind of a green turquoise. What's it?
Cool. So thank you so much for being part of this series of remote art talks. And, like for people who want to know more about what Ottomata Studio is about, how can they find you?
Yeah, so basically, I think the best place right now is on Instagram. So at ottomata.studio. Ottomata, you have to spell it Ottomata. And because our website is kind of falling behind, we have to fix this. But yeah, the Instagram is the best place.
Okay.
We post a lot of stuff. Also, some of our Facebook for the events. Whenever we are in a festival, maybe there won't be a lot of festival this year, but yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and maybe in 6 months the website is going to be more better.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, and see you later.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for tuning in. Follow this project using the hashtag #RemoteArtTalks, and make sure to follow our guest artists on Instagram. Artifier is a Toronto-based platform created to help people discover how art can be fun. Go check out artifier.net or follow us on Instagram at artifiernet. For artist followers of Remote Art Talks, Partial Gallery is offering a discount on pro artist plans. Partial is a curated online directory of noteworthy independent artists. Go to partial.gallery, create a free profile, and use the code REMOTE to get a 10% discount on your pro plan.